Greetings and good evening, and welcome to the Sui Yore Aboriginal Tribal Court with Rashia and Harmon'El. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Okay, so this evening of the Shabbat, I am going to read chapter 19 of the book of Jasher to you, and we're going to read through, and then we're going to have a discussion and application regarding the law. Okay, with all things, we are first and foremost going to acknowledge Yah and 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 thank Yah for everything, because without Yah there would be nothing. There would be nothing. Yes, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. And for those of you who need some encouragement, just, there's a lot of encouragement in the book of Jasher. I'd shared with you before how the book of Jasher is like one of my favorite books. I have a couple of favorite books in the Yah's legal case law book, right? And within the case law book, there are several cases that I truly can relate to, and I also truly appreciate because of the advice that is given in those particular cases. Yes. So we will begin here with chapter 19, the book of Jasher, which begins as follows. And the cities of Sodom and the 4 judges to 4 cities, and these were their names: Sarak in the city of Sodom, Sharkad in Amorah, Zabnak in Admah, and Menon in Savim. And Eleazar, Abraham's servant, applied to them different names, and he converted Sarak to Shakra, Sharkad to Shakrura, Zabnak to Kezovim, and Menon to Mazlodin. And by desire of their 4 judges, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, had beds erected in the streets of the cities. And if a man came to these places, they laid hold of him and brought him to one of their beds, and by force made him to lie in them. And as he lay down, 3 men would stand at his head and 3 at his feet, and measure him by the length of the bed. And if the man was less than the bed, these 6 men would stretch him at each end, and when he cried out to them, they would not answer him. And if he was longer than the bed, they would draw together the 2 sides of the bed at each end, until the man had reached the gates of death. And if he continued to cry out to them, they would answer him, saying, "Thus shall it be done to a man that comes into our land." And when men heard all these things that the people of the cities of Sodom did, they refrained from coming there. And when a poor man came to their land, they would give him silver and gold, and cause a proclamation in the whole city not to give him a morsel of bread to eat. And if the stranger should remain there some days and die from hunger, not having been able to obtain a morsel of bread, then at his death all the people of the city would come and take their silver and gold which they had given to him. And those that could recognize the silver or gold which they had given him took it back. And at his death they also stripped him of his garments, and they would fight about them. And he that prevailed over his neighbor took them. They would after that carry him and bury him under some of the shrubs in the deserts. So they did all the days to anyone that came to them, and died in their land. And in the course of time, Sarah sent Eleazar to Sodom to see Lot and inquire after his welfare. And Eleazar went to Sodom, and he met a man of Sodom fighting with a stranger. And the man of Sodom stripped the poor man of all his clothes and went away. And this poor man cried to Eleazar and supplicated his favor on account of what the man of Sodom had done to him. And he said to him, Why do you act thus to the poor man who came to your land? And the man of Sodom answered Eleazar, saying, Is this man your brother, or have the people of Sodom made you a judge this day, that you speak about this man? And Eleazar strove with the man of Sodom on account of the poor man. And when Eleazar approached to recover the poor man's clothes from the man of Sodom, he hastened and with a stone smote Eleazar in the forehead. Now pay attention, because there's a reason why I'm reading this particular chapter from the book of Jasher regarding the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? So Eleazar is struck on the head with a stone. Okay. Picking up at verse 17. And the blood flowed copiously from Eleazar's forehead. And when the man saw the blood, he caught hold of Eleazar, saying, Give me my hire for having rid you of this bad blood that was in your forehead. For such is the custom and the law of our land. Custom and law. And Eleazar said to him, You have wounded me and require me to pay you your hire? And Eleazar would not hearken to the words of the man of Sodom. And the man laid hold of Eleazar and brought him to Shachra, the judge of Sodom, for judgment. And the man spoke to the judge, saying, I beseech you, my lord, thus has this man done, for I smote him with a stone that the blood flowed from his forehead, and he is unwilling to give me my hire. And the judge said to Eleazar, This man speaks truth to you. Give him his hire, for this is the custom of our land. And Eleazar heard the words of the judge, and he lifted up a stone and smote the judge, and the stone struck on his forehead, and the blood flowed copiously from the forehead of the judge. And Eleazar said, If this then is the custom in your land, give you unto this man what I should have given him. For this has been your decision. You did decree it. And Eleazar left the man of Sodom with the judge, and he went away. So we're going to stop there, and we're going to discuss that, and we will pick up with the remainder of chapter 19 another time, because this lesson is not intended to be a long one. It is intended to be very short and direct. So the times that we are living in, okay? The times that we are living in, and we are dealing with a legal system that is beyond corrupt, okay? We are dealing with, or living with, and individuals who have become so corrupt and so laden with unrighteousness and wickedness that this is what prevails in our system, even amongst the judges and lawyers and all of those who are in positions of authority or power, those who are supposed to, those who have the authority, who have the power to enact laws, to enforce them, and to apply them so that they may render judgment. Now, earlier today, as I was hosting my show, Burglary or Birthright, which airs on Keeping People Real TV, okay, I brought up the issues of the color of law, I brought up gaslighting, and I brought up entrapment, okay? And while I discussed these issues on my show, I explained what each one of them involved, and how primarily the participants involved in all of the terms that I had presented, operating under color of law, gaslighting, and entrapment, these individuals are criminal agents, employees, operatives, officials, people with power and authority who actually operate on behalf of what we call the government. All right. Now, what we call the government and what is known as the government or the government agency. All right. Because let's keep it real. The government agencies are not living, breathing beings. Okay. They are operated by, controlled by human beings or beings that look like humans who are making decisions regarding our lives, making decisions that affect our lives on a daily basis. Now, why do I bring this up? I bring this up because chapter 19 deals with the cities, in the book of Jasher, deals with the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and how, Sodom and Gomorrah had become such unrighteous cities to the point that there was not a one righteous individual who lived within the walls of those cities. Now, despite the common misconception regarding why it is that Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed, people like to associate its destruction with just the one sin that they choose to associate it with. However, once I continue reading chapter 19, you will find that the details that are provided in the book of Jasher actually give us a more complete picture of what really was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah and how the people of those cities, there's actually 3 cities, right? The people of these 3 cities were wholly corrupt. And so this is a relevant topic for today's current societies. Society today has become laden with corruption. The officials are corrupt. All of the government is corrupt. Okay? Remember, the government is represented by, operated by beings. Okay? Living, breathing beings. The corporation itself, aka the government, is not a living being. Person is defined very differently within the law, okay? A person is not a living being. This is what you must come to understand. Even when you are reading Yah's casebook, Yah is speaking law the majority of the time. He is speaking law. And the people are not adhering to him. It's just like today. It's like when you have a conversation with someone and what you are saying to them is just going completely over their head, etc. And then their response, when they respond or they fail to respond, you yourself don't understand, even like if they do respond. And then if they don't respond, you might wonder, like, why have they not responded? Well, perhaps it's because we're getting lost in translation. And why are we getting lost in translation? We're getting lost in translation because one individual is having a legal conversation and the other one is playing. The other one is having, it's fun time. It's non-serious time. It's, we're at recess. Let's play, make believe and pretend. And, let's just use a lot of like slang and just or inappropriate, use a lot of inappropriate words, or approach the situation inappropriately. Okay, or let's just do what we will. Okay, let's just be lawless. So Sodom and Gomorrah had essentially become lawless cities, as you see in chapter 19 and in verse, I think this is verse 21. And the judge said to Eleazar, "This man speaks truth to you. Give him his hire, for this is the custom in our land." So the custom in their land, in the land of Sodom, was to reward evil with good. Okay? Now, today on my show, Burglary or Birthright, I discussed the creating of criminals. The creating of criminals. And the subject primarily dealt with the false accusations and fraudulent situations that agents, individuals in positions of power, were engaging in, and then pointing the finger or accusing or contriving or planting evidence against those who are innocent. Again, rewarding evil with good, calling good evil, calling evil good. So let's continue reading so that we can get to the gist of why it is that Yah actually decided to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Picking up on verse 23 of chapter 19. And when the kings of Elam had made war with the kings of Sodom, the kings of Elam captured all the property of Sodom, and they took Lot captive with his property. And when it was told to Abraham, he went and made war with the kings of Elam, and he recovered from their hands all the property of Lot, as well as the property of Sodom. At that time the woman of Lot bore him a daughter, and he called her name Paltith, saying, because Elohim had delivered him and his whole household from the kings of Elam. And Paltith, the daughter of Lot, grew up, and one of the men of Sodom took her for a woman. And a poor man came into the city to seek a maintenance, and he remained in the city some days. And all the people of Sodom caused a proclamation of their custom not to give this man a morsel of bread to eat until he dropped dead upon the earth, and they did so. And Paltith, the daughter of Lot, saw this man lying in the street, starved with hunger, and no one would give him anything to keep him alive. And he was just upon the point of death. And her soul was filled with pity on account of the man, and she fed him secretly with bread for many days. And the soul of this man was revived. For when she went forth to fetch water, she would put the bread in the water pitcher, and when she came to the place where the poor man was, she took the bread from the pitcher and gave it him to eat. So she did many days. And all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah wondered how this man could bear starvation for so many days. They were confused. Why was this man still alive? This is the people in Sodom. They had legislated a law prohibiting anyone from feeding any strangers so that they may die. This was their law. This was their custom. Okay? This was their custom. And because it is the custom of their land, they followed precedents, despite the fact that their law was evil. Verse 29. And all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah wondered how this man could bear starvation for so many days. And they said to each other, this can only be that he eats and drinks, for no man can bear starvation for so many days or live as this man has, without even his countenance changing. And 3 men concealed themselves in a place where the poor man was stationed to know who it was that brought him bread to eat. And Paltith, the daughter of Lot, went forth that day to fetch water. And she put bread into her pitcher of water, and she went to draw water by the poor man's place. And she took out the bread from the pitcher and gave it to the poor man, and he ate it. And the 3 men saw what Paltith did to the poor man, and they said to her, it is you then who has supported him, and therefore has he not starved, nor changed in appearance, nor died like the rest. And the 3 men went out of the place in which they were concealed, and they seized Paltith in the bread which was in the poor man's hand. And they took Paltith and brought her before their judges, and they said to them, thus did she do, and it is she who supplied the poor man with bread. Therefore did he not die all this time? Now therefore declare to us the punishment due to this woman for having transgressed our law. Transgressed our law. Ponder that for a moment. In today's society, we have laws that have been written by men. Laws that have been written by men that discriminate against other people, particularly the indigenous people. Now, I have explained to you who the indigenous people are. When I say indigenous, I am talking about those who have been labeled, legally labeled by men who create laws as being colored, Negro, Black, African American, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, etc. These are all legally contrived labels created by individuals who had the intent of discriminating against a particular people. One, discriminating against them. Correction. One, denationalizing them. And 2, discriminating against them in perpetuity. So you see, just because something is the law, or just because a law is generated, created, legislated, however created, it does not mean that that law is a righteous or valid law. If that law defies Yah's law, then just like within the system that man has created, that law is essentially, you can call it's unconstitutional. It is unconstitutional. It is a violation. That law is a transgression. Not the acts of the individual who allegedly goes against this perverted law, but it is the law that is unconstitutional. But see, just like in the time of Sodom and Gomorrah, where you had judges who were co-signing, agreeing, approving, decreeing alongside with these individuals, these lawyers who are coming before them, knowing that these lawyers are colluding and engaging in fraudulent activities, okay? Lying about the laws, stealing from the people, abusing the people, discriminating against the people. Instead of the judge actually applying the laws that are on the books, they are engaging in actually applying the color of law. They are operating under the color of law. They have the legal positions, they have the authority, they have the power. However, the laws that are actually written on the books, they ignore. They apply their own desires, their own wants, their own needs, their own prejudices. This is what is happening in many legal systems around the world, and particularly here in the United States. I will continue. Verse 34. And they took Paltith and brought her before their judges. And they said to them, thus did she do, and it is she who supplied the poor man with bread. Therefore did he not die all this time. Now therefore declare to us the punishment due to this woman for having transgressed our law. And the people of Sodom and Gomorrah assembled and kindled a fire in the street of the city, and they took the woman and cast her into the fire, and she was burned to ashes. And in the city of Admah there was a woman to whom they did the like. For a traveler came into the city of Admah to abide there all night, with the intention of going home in the morning. And he sat opposite the door of the house of the young woman's father, to remain there as the sun had set when he had reached that place. And the young woman saw him sitting by the door of the house. And he asked her for a drink of water, and she said to him, who are you? And he said to her, I was this day going on the road, and reached here when the sun set. So I will abide here all night, and in the morning I will arise early and continue my journey. And the young woman went into the house and fetched the man bread and water to eat and drink. And this affair became known to the people of Admah. And they assembled and brought the young woman before the judges, that they should judge her for this act. And the judge said, the judgment of death must pass upon this woman, because she transgressed our law. And this, therefore, is the decision concerning her. And the people of those cities assembled and brought out the young woman, and anointed her with honey from head to foot, as the judge had decreed. And they placed her before a swarm of bees, which were then in their hives. And the bees flew upon her and stung her, that her whole body was swelled. And the young woman cried out on account of the bees, but no one took notice of her or pitied her, and her cries ascended to heaven. And Yahuwah was provoked at this, and at all the works of the cities of Sodom, for they had abundance of food, and had tranquility amongst them, and still would not sustain the poor and the needy. Does it sound familiar? Does it sound familiar? We can't have anything. Anything that we try to do, they come and they destroy it. We build our own communities. They thrive, and they come and they burn them down. Black Wall Street, it's... We can't have anything. We cannot have anything. It's never enough for them. It's never enough. And these are the people then, okay? They have their laws and they create laws that go against us, that make it unlawful for us to be human, to engage in normal human activity. They make it unlawful. And those who do good, they go after those individuals who want to help, who want to advocate, who want to assist other people. And because they are assisting them, they then arrest them, they charge them, they arrest them, they bring them before the judge, and they demand that the judge issue a decree to then punish this individual for breaking their laws. Laws that they have created, that they have put on the books to criminalize righteous behavior. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. That's why I tell you that this is a legal case book. Okay? These are cases that have happened, regardless of how long ago they have happened. These are our ancestors. And our ancestors were dealing with the same issues, the same corruption, the same perversion, the same abominations that we are dealing with today. Woe to those who call good evil and evil good. What do you see? Asked Yahweh. What do you see? Unrighteousness everywhere. No one pays attention, and those who see it, they don't care. Unless, of course, it happens directly to them. As the JurisConsul, it is my responsibility to prevent injustice from happening, to prevent discrimination from happening, to assist when it is happening, and to advocate on behalf of those who cannot advocate on behalf of themselves. That is what the Sui Jure Aboriginal Tribal Court is here for. We are here. The purpose is to right wrongs. These wicked cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, Philadelphia, and some other cities out here that are a part of the United States, the Union States that make up the United States, there is a lot of unrighteous and wicked behavior that is taking place. And just like with Sodom and Gomorrah, the cries of the people who are being afflicted, the cries of the people who are seeing injustice, the cries of the people who are being called criminals, who are being turned into criminals because of a system that has been created by man that is unrighteous. Yah is hearing those cries. Yah hears everything. Yah is omnipotent. Hallelujah. 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 That's right. That's why, this court, my position, who I am, the Bar Association created by a man, the Pennsylvania Bar, whatever bar. You don't own or control the law. The law was created before you existed. So what makes you think that you can control the law, that you have the authority or the right to sit down, to sit and write your own laws, especially when they are unrighteous laws, and then demand that people follow your unrighteous laws? Verse 44. And Yahuwah was provoked. And Yahuwah was provoked. And Yahuwah was provoked. Keep poking the bear. And keep poking him and poking him and poking him. You want to silence Yah's people, Yah's chosen. You want to call them criminals. You want to entrap them. You want to force them to operate under your wicked and unrighteous laws. You want them to operate under color of law. You want them to engage in utilizing your statutes, your codes, your common laws, your case laws, when y'all already has a case law book addressing every issue, and providing remedy. It's already been done. Why did you feel like you needed to create your own American jurisprudence, Roman laws, and then the laws of all these other nations? That mind, need I remind you, Psalms 83, how they are confederate against Yasharel. Yasharel are the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes, the 12 sons and their descendants. The descendants of the 12 tribes. Let me continue. Verse 44. And Yahweh was provoked at this, and at all the works of the cities of Sodom, for they had abundance of food, and had tranquility amongst them, and still would not sustain the poor and the needy in those days. Their evil doings and sins became great before Yahweh. And Yahweh sent for 2 of the angels that had come to Abraham's house to destroy Sodom and its cities. And the angels rose up from the door of Abraham's tent after they had eaten and drunk, and they reached Sodom in the evening. And Lot was then sitting in the gate of Sodom. And when he saw them, he rose to meet them. And he bowed down to the ground, and he pressed them greatly, and brought them into his house. And he gave them victuals, which they ate, and they abode all night in his house. And the angel said to Lot, Arise, go forth from this place, you and all belonging to you, lest you be consumed in the iniquity of this city, for Yahuwah will destroy this place. And the angels laid hold upon the hand of Lot, and upon the hand of his woman, and upon the hands of his children, and all belonging to him, and they brought him forth and set him without the cities. And they said to Lot, Escape for your life. And he fled, and all belonging to him. Then Yahuwah rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah, and upon all these cities brimstone and fire from Yahuwah out of heaven. And he overthrew these cities, all the circle of the Yarden, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. And the woman of Lot looked back to see the destruction of the cities. For her compassion was moved on account of her daughters who remained in Sodom, for they did not go with her. And when she looked back, she became a pillar of salt, and it is yet in that place unto this day. And the oxen which stood in that place daily licked up the salt to the extremities of their feet. And in the morning it would spring forth afresh, and they again licked it up unto this day. And Lot and 2 of his daughters that remained with him fled and escaped to the cave of Adullam. And they remained there for some time. And Abraham rose up early in the morning to see what had been done to the cities of Sodom. And he looked, and behold, the smoke of the cities going up like the smoke of a furnace. Now, this particular chapter is important. You notice I mentioned Psalms 83 again, right? And remember, I read Psalms 83. And in reading Psalms 83, I pointed out how, this particular Psalms provide you with notice, a warning, etc. regarding who your enemies are and what is actually happening out here. And why it is that no matter what we do as a people, collectively, united, these people, every last one of them, all these nations out here, prevent us at all costs from being able to engage in commerce and being able to rise from the position that we hold in this world, and that is to always be at the bottom. Have you not noticed that? Psalms 83 and a couple of sentences explains to you what transpired. Now, what I want to point out about Psalms 83 is that here in chapter 19, Lot is mentioned. Okay? His wife is, she's turned into a pillar of salt, and he and his 2 daughters who escape, they go to this cave. Let me continue. And Lot and his 2 daughters, this is verse 57 of chapter 19 in the book of Jasher. And Lot and his 2 daughters remained in the cave, and they made their father drink wine, and they lay with him, for they said there was no man upon earth that could raise up seed from them, for they thought that the whole earth was destroyed. So this is what they thought. So in them thinking that Yah had destroyed the whole earth, and for whatever reason had saved them, right? They decided that they were going to not consensually have sexual intercourse with their father, but they were going to give their father some wine, get him drunk, inebriated, and then have sex with him. That's what's going on here. It's important that you pay attention to this, because we're going to revisit Psalms 83 so that you will realize who we're dealing with today. You see, because what the enemy has done, what the enemy of Yah has done, what the enemy of Yasharel has done, is not only did the enemy cut us off from being a nation, steal our identity, okay? But the enemy also changed their identity, their names. They modernized them, or they did whatever, but they did that to separate themselves from the names that are actually mentioned in the case book. That's what they did. So that you, in the event that you ever learned how to reread, or you relearned your language, etc., so that you would not be able to put 2 and 2 together. But see, Yah is so magnificent that he allowed for me throughout my life to have certain experiences, so that when I became conscious to what was happening, I would be able to look back on my life and my experiences and take those pieces of the puzzle and fit them into the puzzle that was before me. So there are situations and events that have happened in my life during a time that I was not conscious or aware or as knowledgeable as I am now, that now makes sense. That now makes sense. And I'll tell you about that in another video, but not this one. But I will make some connections here, and you will then begin to understand when I explain, the pieces to you. But I'm going to make the connection tonight during this Shabbat. I think that I've been getting this kind of like tug or this push to tell you this story. I mean, I know that there are so many people, praise Yah, on YouTube who are sounding the alarm, who are educating. And let me tell you how when I first became conscious, I watched a lot of different people on YouTube talk about, this awakening, educating, and so, it helped with my research. It helped with with me making a decision to step out of and away from the bar association. Step away from that. Because that is nothing but Hashatan and the devil. There is no you're going to change things from the inside. That's ridiculous and perverted and profane thinking. Remember going to Job, how Yah is in control of everything. And even the devil has to get permission from Yah to do certain things. Okay? So with that, we're going to continue with, what is happening here between Lot and his daughters. We're going to make the connection because we're living in a time right now where it's a time of lawlessness. This is the wild, wild west. Okay? It's the wild, wild west. And those individuals who are in positions of authority, okay, the agents, employees, public officials, officers of the court, whatever, all of these individuals are not enforcing righteous laws, but are enforcing unrighteousness. Okay? They are forcing unrighteousness onto individuals, and they are robbing, raping, stealing, killing, and, engaging themselves in all types of wickedness. That is what is happening here. That is what is happening. And so, going back to the show Burglary or Birthright, where today the question was, are you a created criminal? Created criminal meaning, has someone falsely, has someone placed you in false light? Have you been falsely arrested, falsely accused of something? Has someone set you up? And these individuals who are supposed to conduct their investigations, etc., have they, have they done their due diligence? Have they provided you with due process, to determine whether or not you actually committed the act that you're being accused of? Or are they just taking the word of the liar? Is that what is happening? Is there no probable cause? Is there no reasonable suspicion? Is it just all just false accusations, malfeasance, color of law, entrapment, gaslighting? Is that what it is? Is that what is going on here? Is it? As one judge said to me back in 2015 as we entered the courtroom, we don't recognize that law here. What law is he saying that he did not recognize? The Constitution. He didn't say which Constitution, but he just said we don't recognize that law here. We don't recognize that here. So he didn't specify if he was talking about the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's Constitution or the federal Constitution. He just said we don't recognize that. So if you don't recognize the Constitution, then what laws are you enforcing here? Excuse me. Let's continue. We're almost done. Chapter 19, verse 57 of the book of Jasher. And Lot and his 2 daughters remained in the cave, and they made their father drink wine. And they lay with him, for they said, there is no man upon earth that could raise up seed from them, for they thought that the whole earth was destroyed. And they both lay with their father, and they conceived and bore sons. And the firstborn called the name of her son Moab, or Moab, as in the Moabites. I'm just getting to the point. Continue. Saying, from my father did I conceive him. He is the father of the Moabim unto this day. And the younger also called her son Ben-Ami. He is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. So that's the Ammonites. So that's Moab and Ammon. Let's continue. And after this, Lot and his 2 daughters went away from there, and he dwelt on the other side of the Jordan with his 2 daughters and their sons. And the sons of Lot grew up, and they went and took themselves women from the land of Canaan. And they begat children, and they were fruitful and multiplied. Amen. That's the end of chapter 19 in the book of Jasher. Now, let us turn to Psalms 83. Let us go. Let us travel. Let us travel to Psalms 83. The Psalms case text chapter 83. Let us do that. And Psalms 83, I will read up to the point that I need to, and that is it. Psalms 83. Keep not your silence, O Elohim. Hold not your peace, and be not still, O El. For lo, your enemies make a tumult, and they that hate you have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against your people. So if Yah is the Elohim of everyone, why is it that in this Psalms it says your people? Because Yah has a chosen people. And those chosen people are the 12 tribes, the descendants of the 12 tribes. Okay? They have taken crafty counsel against your people and consulted against your hidden ones. Your hidden ones. They have said, come, let's gather, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasharel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They have conspired. They have engaged in a conspiracy. Okay? They are in agreement. This is a contract. This is an agreement. This is a convention that they have. A huge meeting where they all came and they all agreed. Okay? They all agreed that this is what they were going to do. For they have consulted together with one consent. So they have a meeting of the minds. This is a contract. They are confederate against you. Confederate against you. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelim of Moab, Moabite, okay? And the Hagrim, Chaval, and Ammon. Remember who Moab and Ammon are, right? These are the sons of Lot. Let's stay focused. And Amalek and the Pelishtim with the inhabitants of Sur. Ashur, listen, Ashur also is joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot. Selah. So, what does that mean? Moab and Ammon are mentioned amongst the individuals who are part of this convention, right? This conspiracy to cut Yasharel off as a nation. All right? So here it says that Ashur is also joined with them, and they have helped the children of Lot. So who are the children of Lot today? Who are the children of Lot today? Have you ever asked yourself that? And you see, I'm going to be very direct because I don't have time to run around the rosemary bush and play ring around the rosy. Okay? We are dealing with significant issues today that directly relate or connect to what is happening in Yah's case law book. And yet, we pretend or behave as if everything is just all peachy and creamy. And vanilla bean ice creamy. Peachy and creamy and vanilla ice cream bean eamy. Whatever. I particularly love vanilla bean ice cream. I just love it. It's bland, it's plain, but it's just something about those little vanilla bean specks. But guess what? This is not a peachy creamy ice cream vanilla bean situation. These are very serious events that have happened and that continue to affect us today. Legally. This is an agreement that other nations had. This is not just, some fairy tale song to sing, during some holiday, some festive moment. These are very serious situations that happen legally, lawful, like dealing with the law. Because these people entered into a covenant with each other. Like we have a covenant with Yah. And they conspired against us to cut us off as a nation. Because they understood how significant our covenant with Yah was and remains. And so they do everything in their power to prevent us from reconnecting. This Sui Yore Aboriginal Tribal Court is all about providing assistance and education regarding who and whose you are. The information and the knowledge regarding you repatriating or renationalizing yourself, returning to your Elohim. Isaiah 44, Yasharel, it's time to wake up. Who is Moab and Ammon? Look behind the curtain. Who does the United States owe money to? Money that they created, but yet money still, that's what they call it, fiat, whatever. Who are they indebted to? Because that's what this is about. This is about debt. To whom do they owe a debt? Who? This doesn't have anything to do with, me, spreading falsehoods or hatred or anything like that. This is about the truth. This is about the truth. And I'm here to get you to think on this Shabbat, this evening. Who is taking over your neighborhoods? Who is pushing out the people once again? Who is moving into the neighborhoods? Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Who owns? Who are the developers? Who is purchasing the United States? Who is purchasing land that belongs to the indigenous aboriginal? But who is purchasing land that has been stolen? Who is purchasing? Or who is engaged in negotiations regarding what it is that they will take in return, barter, right? For exchange, consideration, in return for the debt that is owed. Brothers and sisters, because you are my brothers and my sisters, you must wake up. Law is not difficult to learn. It isn't. You do not have to be a, you don't have to go to law school to see the writing that is in front of you. This is Yah's legal textbook right here with all of the case laws that is in here. I can identify all issues in here and label them according to what, jurisprudence has labeled them. I can identify all of the issues. I identify when Yah is engaging in contractual negotiations. I identify the different crimes that take place. I identify the different torts that take place. And Yah puts his law right in here. Exodus, remember? The 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not. Yes, we know that there are more than 10 commandments. Yes. But those are the ones that he listed, right? That he wrote, okay, with his finger on the sapphire stone and gave to Moshe. Yes? So, as the JurisConsul, I sit here and quite often I think about Paul, because Paul was a lawyer. And prior to Paul becoming who he became, he engaged in abominable acts, capturing and turning over the children of Yasharel to the enemy so that they could be killed. That today is what attorneys do. They say that they represent your interests, that they are there to speak on your behalf, and they are not. They are there to silence you and to speak on behalf of whoever it is that they work for, and that is the bar. Remember, just like a corporation or a government, the bar is a non-living, non-breathing entity that is operated by beings with wicked intentions. Wicked, diabolical, and nefarious intentions. That is the bar. That is the government. All of these individuals who are mentioned here in Psalms 83, today, those individuals who conspired, they have They have a conspiracy, an ongoing and continuous conspiracy to keep you from being a nation. They will rob, they will rape, they will murder, they will do whatever. They, like the sheriff, the Philadelphia Sheriff's Department said when they arrived at the asset 1361 South 46th Street, that is the asset and property, private property of the nation. What does it say here? They conspired. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against you. If they don't agree on anything, they agree on this. That they are against you. And so when you see them coming into this country, and they can have legislation passed in a matter of days, weeks, and you've been here all this time and there's no legislation that passes that protects you from nothing. From nothing. There is no need to ask why. The writing is on the wall. The writing is actually right here in Psalm 83. They are confederate against us. They are confederate. They are against us. Like Yah said to Jeremiah, Jeremiah, what do you see? What do you see? What do you see, Jeremiah? Why is it that Yasharel cannot see who is confederate against them? Who is conspiring against them? Why can Yasharel not see that they are not a part of the head, but they alone, as a nation, have been made the tail? Why can Yasharel not see that? Why is Yasharel being labeled as criminals when they are the ones who have been stolen and who have had things stolen from them? They are the ones who have been murdered, raped, robbed. They are the ones. But why are they the ones who are constantly targeted and labeled as the criminals here? Why are the private prisons substantially occupied by the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov? Why? So we are going to end with you thinking about who is today, who are the children of Lot? Who? Who? You know who they are. 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 We have a huge problem if we don't get ourselves together. The world is waiting for us, and Yah is waiting for us. But he's not waiting like he's going to wait and do things on our time, because Yah, everything happens on Yah's time. But there are those of us out here who have a job to do, who have a responsibility. There is an elect, and we know that not everyone. We know that there are some who love those who have conspired and consulted and are confederate against us. We know. We know that you're here. We know you exist. But we must still do our part. Just like Paul understood. He was a lawyer, and he understood. He knew what he was up against, but he understood. He knew how difficult it was, and that's why he encouraged. And for the most part, that's what my job is to do. I'm here to encourage. I'm here to shed light on some things because with the mind that I have, yes, there are some things that I see legally, okay? A lot of things when I look at Yah's legal textbook, I don't, the way that I view it is not like how someone who has not been legally trained is going to view it. This is a law book. It is a law book. And there are reasons why there are certain case books that were taken out of it were taken out. For example, the book of Jasher is not in the King James Version. It's not in a lot of versions. Why? Because it provides a lot of detailed missing information that illuminates some of the other cases that are in here, some of the other case books that are in here. Amazing stories, amazing, about our ancestors are in the book of Jasher. Amazing. Including Abraham. How he became one of Yah's chosen. He was born that way. Just amazing. And we're actually going to go through chapters 11 and 12 later on. But like I said, in the beginning, I did not want this to be long. I just wanted to read, the book of Jasher, chapter 19, for a particular reason, because it is something that has been weighing very heavily on me, and I just really feel like I have been pushed. I was being pushed to get that out, to make that comparison, to shed some light on it, to highlight what transpired in Sodom and Gomorrah and the other cities. There were 3 of them that were destroyed, and why, the truth, why there was not a one who was righteous, not a one in that city. This message is for those agents of the government in every capacity. You are responsible. You are responsible. You know that lawlessness is a mock, and you participating is you agreeing, is your acceptance. Offer acceptance. Contract by conduct. Oh, yes. Contract by conduct, or contract by you willingly, knowingly assenting to what has been offered. And that is a lawless society. That is a lawless system, lawless system, a lawless legal system, lawlessness. And Yah is not happy. The Elohim, not happy about it. And it will not go unpunished, just like it did not go unpunished with Sodom and the other cities. So with that, I want to thank you for joining me on this Shabbat, and at the beginning of the Shabbat. And Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All praise. All praise. Hallelujah. Have a sweet rest, and I will see you in the AM. Shalom.